Hey everyone, this is going to be a short video on what are called transits. And we've already talked about the birth chart and how when you were born, the planets were in certain places. Obviously, after you were born, the planets kept moving. And as planets continue moving, we call these transits because they're going to form aspects to your natal birth planets. So I'll give you an example here of what I'm talking about. Right here, you can see Jupiter, and today is April 7th, 2024. Jupiter's at 1846, but the point is right now, Jupiter is moving forward, and you can see as we move forward in time, Jupiter continues going forward until it reaches around 21 degrees of Gemini. And when it reaches 21 degrees of Gemini, and it'll happen this year in October, it reaches 21 degrees, 20 minutes, and then it goes backwards. We call this retrograde. And when planets go retrograde, they go back a certain number of degrees. With Jupiter, it's about 10 degrees. So as I'm scrolling through here, you can see it going backwards, and it's going to go all the way down to 11 degrees, 17, and then it goes forward again. And it'll go to usually the next sign, the next year, and do the same thing. But anyhow, I'm going to take you back up top, and we're going to look at some of these other planets. So astrologers will typically look at Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. When these planets get into certain areas of your chart, depending on the aspect, it's going to bring about or mirror events in your life. And so we just talked about Jupiter, and I'll show you. This is Katy Perry's birth chart. She's got a good birth time because it's exact, it's not rounded, and you can see the BC, it came from her birth certificate. So we know we're dealing with the right planets or the right placements in terms of the house system and everything. Now, we just talked about how Jupiter is going to be in Gemini coming up at the end of this year in October, and it's going to go retrograde at 21 degrees. Well, down here in her second house, Katy Perry has her Uranus in Sagittarius, but it's at 11 degrees 25. So if you remember what we just looked at, Jupiter will make it all the way to form an aspect, which is the opposition. So you have Gemini, 11 degrees of Gemini opposing 11 degrees of Sagittarius. This will always bring about good conditions because Jupiter's expansion, opportunity, she's going to get offered something. There's going to be some sort of, it's probably going to be some kind of, I don't know, concert tour, or I'm sure that's not it, but it's going to be something along those lines. But it's going to be some kind of opportunity that's just sort of once in a lifetime, and you can look for that in the media. But anyways, next we'll look at, let's see. So I made this another chart here. The inner planets are what you just saw. That's her birth chart. You can see Uranus over here, 11 degrees again. Right now, Jupiter is at 18 degrees. We just talked about how it was going to go to 21 degrees of Gemini, and then it was going to go backwards and hit 1125 in terms of an opposition. That will actually occur in 2025, next year. Most likely, it's the last 2 months of this year and then most of next year. So that opportunity will come probably in 2025. But let's take a look at some of these other planets. Saturn, for example, if we go back over here, Saturn is up here, and right now it's at about 14 degrees of Pisces. Saturn is going to go to 19, 26, and then it's going to stop and go retrograde, and it's going to back up, and it's going to go all the way back down to 12 degrees, 42, and it'll move forward again. What we want to look at is what planets in Katy Perry's chart will fall within this retrograde area. And so we're going to take a look at that in just a second here. But also Uranus. Uranus is going to go forward, and then it's going to reach 27 of Taurus, and it's going to turn around. And also Neptune. Neptune is just about, or in July, it'll reach 2956 and it'll go retrograde. So let's just look at those planets here and see what happens. We'll start with Saturn. Saturn is at 14 right now. Like we said, it's going to go to 19, and then it's going to back up and go to 12. So it's actually going to go below where it is right now. But when it does that, it's going to form a trine. A trine is that 120 degree aspect that's harmonious and good. When when Saturn goes retrograde, it'll trine that, and it's going to bring about a period of hard work. It's usually a good period because it's a trine. But the moon being there in the first house, it's showing that she's just going to work really hard during this year, especially after Saturn goes retrograde. So I don't know what that means. I don't know. I don't keep in touch with what's going on in the lives of celebrities, but I can tell you she's going to be working hard based on that transit right there. And then Neptune. Neptune's at 28 right now. If you remember, it's going to go to 29, and then it's going to go backwards. Well, when it goes backwards, it's going to square its own place. So here was Neptune when Katy Perry was born back in 1984. In 2024, it's going to go and square. The square is the 90 degree aspect. And when that happens, typically there's a situation that's embarrassing. And I don't know what that means. Maybe Katy Perry will say something political or say something that's controversial. I don't really know what it is, but because she's a public person, it'll probably be in the media. You'll probably see something like this show up. But anyways, when you see controversy surrounding Katy Perry this year, it'll be her. It's because of Neptune, or Neptune is mirroring that event, let's say. And then we also looked at Uranus, and Uranus is going to go up here. It's going to reach, where did we say? It's going to reach 27 degrees, and then it's going to go backwards to about 23. So let's see what we have here, 27 to 23. And there really isn't, there's not, it misses everything in her chart. So it's just kind of a non-factor. But anyways, these are the transits. This is how the transits work. They work in your chart and everyone else's chart. And we're going to be talking more about this in the future because the transits actually predict what's coming. You can look ahead at, a year ahead or however far ahead you want to look, and you can kind of predict in general terms, not specifics, but in general, what's going to be going on in your life. So anyways, that's our video for today, and we will see you next time.